Hey, welcome back. Yeah, I feel like I should do these during the day instead of at night. Like it's 8 o'clock right now, just because everything feels quieter, so I feel like I have to be quieter. I'll do that next time. So today's Saturday. I was supposed to go ice skating today, but it was snowing, so I kind of wimped out. It was too much snow. I was scared. But the person was nice. I was going to meet that eHarmony girl for ice skating, which I keep talking about. Like, that's weird, right? Because, like I said, we're friends, but now we're going ice skating. The therapist said it was okay. I was like, oh, it's just a friend. It's fine. Still kind of feels weird. So I think I'm going to record today and tomorrow so that I have a video for Christmas, because I'm not going to be around for Christmas. I like to post a vlog once a week. I think it's good for me. Because I'm going to meet somebody tomorrow for lunch, too. It's a new person from Match.com. I don't know. It's kind of lame, all this dating stuff, right? So let's not talk about it. Let's talk about something exciting. I'm going to be on a podcast, probably. I am. I don't know. The person, so it's called Social Anxiety Bestie, and I've talked about it. I think like a year ago, I listened to it for the first time, and I remember it was a Ocarina of Time video that I did, because I talked about like perfectionism, and I remember saying something like, "Oh, perfectionism's stupid," like, I always thought perfectionism was stupid, but then I listened to her and the way she described it, and it's like, oh wait, I think I might have that. Because it's like, you won't do anything unless it's perfect. So like, if you're going to go somewhere, unless you know exactly what's going to happen, it's going to be awesome and perfect, you won't go, because you're like, oh, it's not going to be perfect. Or if like you have to make like a craft or something, like you won't make it unless it's going to be amazing and perfect. Or like if you're going to make a YouTube channel, you're not going to make it unless it's perfect. Like you watch YouTube videos and you're like, oh, if my videos aren't going to be like these, then I'm not going to do it because it's not going to be perfect. So I'm like, oh, I have that. So I thought about maybe running through what I could talk about on the show. It's pretty crazy. I mean, can we just like sit for a second and sit with the thought of like how crazy it is that I might be on a podcast? It feels a little surreal, even though it's like, I don't know, it's just a podcast, but it feels weird to connect with somebody like online. I mean, I know I have Vault and Gladys and Mark has been watching. I wanted to, like, when I do the podcast, I thought it would be cool if I just like mentioned the people, you three guys, or maybe four. There's another guy from India who's pretty cool. His username is Cash. I always forget his real name. Sorry. He comments once in a while. Like, those are the only 4 people who have watched in like the past and commented in like the past year. Oh no, Ariel. Okay, 5. I gotta make sure I don't forget anybody. There's another person, Ariel. She doesn't comment a lot, but she has in the past year. I think that would be funny if I was just like, these are the 5 people. It's kind of cool that like I can just mention all the people who watch me, because it's only 5 people. So maybe I came up with a lot of notes to talk about already, because she's super cool. Like, I emailed her and I wasn't expecting anything, and then she sent me like this long email like, oh my god, it's so crazy. And then she sent me like a personalized video like, hey. I was like, this is so nice. Like, too nice. Like, is this a scam? Is this important? I don't want to. I have some like jokes that I came up to that I could say on the show. So I don't want to say them now, because then if I say them on the show, you'll be like, "Oh, you came up with that before." But one of them was like, if I go on the show and like it's terrible, I could tell her like, "Oh, you could just do like, like when you're a kid and you give your brother a controller but it's not plugged in. Like you could just you could just pretend we're podcasting just to make me feel good, and then not post a video because it's gonna be terrible, and I'm gonna be rambling and not say anything interesting." So, but what she's doing is pretty cool. She has an anxiety podcast. She has social anxiety, and she's gonna try to talk to a bunch of people with social anxiety and be like, "What's your story?" So I mean, honestly, I have like an hour worth of stuff here that I could talk about probably. I think I can definitely mention how like I still can't even freaking talk in here because of people upstairs. But one point I definitely want to make is that getting help. How did I get help? And has it helped? Like, has therapy helped me? Yes, of course. Before I started therapy 2 years ago, I didn't know if it would help at all, and I didn't really expect it to, because I'm like, I'm still going to be me. I can't talk during therapy, so how's it going to help at all? The interesting part about me getting help was that I should have gotten help when I was literally like 15 or 14. I should have been seeing a therapist or something. But I didn't. And I was kind of like a functional social anxiety person where like I could still go to school and I could still go to work. So I'm like, well, here's another point. This is hard. Points keep popping up in my head, so this is going to be hard to figure out what I'm going to say on this podcast. I don't know. Like, one point I wanted to make is that I don't have any trauma or abuse or anything. There's no reason... well, obviously, there's nothing for me to overcome, which is like... and I have to mention, like, okay, that's a good thing, obviously. But if you have nothing to overcome, you feel like this is who you're supposed to be. There's no reason for me to be for me to fix myself. There's nothing to fix. This is just me. I just have to get used to it. That's not true. First of all, maybe there was something that like I just don't even know from my childhood, or maybe it's a genetic thing. Whatever it is, here's the point, is like, if you need help. I knew when I was 14 or 15 that I needed help. I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. I just wanted it to go away and to just ignore it. And there are things that maybe could have happened naturally that just would have made my anxiety go away without me having to see a therapist. Like maybe if there was like a guy in one of my classes and he was super nice to me and he like kept talking to me and he became my friend. He's like, and then my confidence was built up from like, or like maybe if I joined the chess club and the chess people were really nice to me and I had a bunch of friends, and maybe I could have just naturally come out of it. I think that's what I was hoping for, but it never happened. So I think, well, those are your two options. Either you can if you're feeling like you're there's something wrong and you need to for help, either try to do like a chess club or something, or talk to your parents or talk to a therapist about it. I thought, here's another joke. I'm not going to use this one, so I'll say it here. My favorite thing, like my favorite joke way, and this is from Community, but I thought about it before Community. The Webster's Dictionary defines. It's kind of a jokey way to start. It's kind of like an old cliche, but nobody does it anymore, so now it's kind of like a joke, ironic, where you start I always thought, this is kind of embarrassing, I always thought, like, if I ever had to give a speech, if my brother ever got married, my middle brother, I would start it with, because I know he likes this joke too. This is a weird tangent. But I would start it with, Webster's Dictionary defines marriage, because I know he would hate that, and it would be funny. And then maybe I'd be like, oh, no, wait, that was my rough draft or something. Or like, oh, I'm so nervous. Maybe I could, I can't do that. I can't start, like, what if we start the podcast and he's like, okay, Anthony, tell me about, like, something interesting. And I'm like, okay, Webster's Dictionary defines social anxiety. That's stupid. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'll keep it short. I'll just go through, like, 2 or 3 more points, that I want to talk about. Oh, I want to talk about this. There are some self-help things that make me want to barf. I think because it's always from the perspective of, I'm better now, and if you work super hard, you can be as awesome as me. And I'm like, but you kind of suck. Why would I want to be like you? So what she's doing and what I'm kind of doing is, like, talking from the perspective of still being in your thing, and there is no end goal. There's no fairyland, promised land where, like, you're gonna, 5 years from now, you're gonna be perfect. And a lot of self-help stuff comes across that way to me, and that's why I'm like, blech. But that's when you come from the perspective of, like, I'm still working on myself. That's the interesting thing. Even if I'm better now than I was a year ago, I'm still working. I'm not talking down, or I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm just like, okay, I did this one thing and it helped me a little bit, like, well, what's next? Like, because I still can't talk loud in my apartment. So, like, can we work on that or something? The self-help people are always just like, do this, 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 and then you'll be perfect. You want a perfect girlfriend, you gotta do this, 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 and then you get a girlfriend and happily ever after. I don't want a girlfriend. I don't know. Those are always the worst. The one is like, if you wanna be with the hottest chicks, then you gotta comb your hair like this. And shut up. Also, obviously with social anxiety, you never get a lot of people who have social anxiety talking. So it's mostly just, like, someone who doesn't have social anxiety, or someone who did but is better now, like, who thinks they're better, talking about it, and you're like, I don't want to listen to this guy. Look at him talking. He's obviously not like me because he can talk, so why would I listen to him? I guess I could talk about that with therapy, is, like, the best thing about social anxiety and going to therapy, I've mentioned this before, but it's like, you do get better just by going. And that's pretty unique, I think, to social anxiety, because if you have, like, anger management or issues or something, you can't get better. You have to be, like, actively doing something. But for social anxiety, the active thing that you're doing is going. That's the thing. So even if your therapist is kind of terrible, well, I mean, if she's terrible, then it could be bad, but even if your therapist is just, like, someone who's like, oh, just, like, my therapist, like, she was good, but mostly what she did is just like, okay, you just talk, and then whatever, and then, like, but that did help me. But it wasn't like she was giving me amazing advice or anything. It was just like, or like anything profound. It was just like, okay, you talk about yourself for an hour, because you've never done that before. You've never talked for an hour. And when you go, a lot of the time, it won't feel good. It won't feel like you're making any progress, but you have to just know that, like, just by going, it's good. So just, like, think about it like that, I guess. But yeah, I was really nervous about when she first mentioned, like, hey, do you want to be on the show? I got more nervous than I've ever been in a long time. I think because, I don't know, it just felt like, what if the Game Grumps asked me to be on their show? It's like, what? This is like a real thing. Your show is like a real show. So I think that's kind of normal. Like if I asked somebody who didn't have social anxiety, like, hey, do you want to come be on the Game Grumps? They would be nervous. So it's like a performance thing. Like, oh, let's go do a play or something. But I'm feeling good about it now because she's doing a good job of making me feel comfortable. Because she sent me these emails and she sent me like a video message like, hey, I just wanted to make you feel comfortable. And then she's like, okay, let's do like a pre-interview where like we get comfortable doing it. And I'm like, so it's like ramping up slowly, which is perfect, obviously, for me. So like I don't want to just jump right into it because then it's harder. But she is like, knows what she's doing. She does seem kind of like a social anxiety expert, where I'm just kind of like trying to figure it out as I go. And I'm not like helping people. She's actively like helping people. I'm just like focused on myself. Like, ooh, me, I gotta get me. I never helped anybody in my life. But it's super cool what she's doing. But yeah, I guess that's it. And tomorrow I'll talk about the lunch date, and I'll tell you how that goes. I'll do another debrief. So this is the third time I'm meeting somebody in person. I don't know. I get self-conscious about talking about the dating stuff too much. I don't know why. Like, oh, come on, we don't want to hear about your stupid dates. It's so dumb. But obviously it's such a big deal for me, so, and it does help to talk about it, so that's why I do it. I know nobody cares. Like, nobody's judging me, like, well, we're talking about date stuff too much. Nobody does that. Especially nobody who watches this. Hope this video was good. But yeah, so I'll put a link in the description to the podcast that I'm gonna be on. Oh no, that's crazy. I'm gonna be on a podcast? That's insane. I gotta stop. I was kind of listening to her podcast like the past couple days because I'm like, oh, I haven't listened to every single episode, so what if she asked me a question and is like, you're not really a fan of the show? You didn't listen to episode 15 where I talked about this. But like I do kind of have to stop listening because it's making me nervous because like I'm listening to it and like this is a real show. Like one of these episodes is gonna be me talking. But thanks if anybody's watching. Thanks for watching. And I like the podcast, so you might like it too if you're watching this. You should probably watch it. It's good. Or listen to it. Yep. So see you tomorrow.